why can't I embark on this journey? Why can't I use my smarts? I have passed all the way from primary. It's my final year of primary, or it's my first year of high school. So I am very intelligent, I'm very smart, and I think I'm emotionally intelligent. And we all wonder why and want to explore because we think that we are smart enough. We think that we can finesse anything. My parents said no. Oh, come on. They had their own lives. It's my time now, right? That's what we all think as adolescents when we're in between that age of 13 to 14, not really understanding ourselves and wanting to know more about the world and wanting to explore more. But hear me out. Sometimes you don't need to explore. Hi and welcome to the Feminine Periodical. My name is Lupasha and today's Bible verse is 1 Corinthians 13 verse 3 till 13. Even if I dole out all that I have, food, and even if I surrender my body to be burned, or in order that I may glory, but have no love, I gain nothing. Love endures long and is patient and kind. Love never is envious, nor boils over with jealousy, is not boastful or vainglorious, does not display itself haughtily. It is not conceited, it is not rude, and does not act unbecomingly. Love does not insist on its own rights or its own way. It is not self-seeking. It is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it. It does not rejoice at injustice and unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes. It is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything. Love never fails. As for prophecy, it will be fulfilled and pass away. As for tongues, they will be destroyed and cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For our knowledge is fragmentary, and our prophecy is fragmentary. But when the complete and perfect comes, the incomplete and imperfect will vanish away. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. Now that I have become a man, I am done with childish ways, and I have put them aside. For now, we are looking in a mirror that gives only a dim reflection, but then we shall see in reality, in face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know and understand fully and clearly, even in the same manner as I have been fully and clearly known and understood. And so faith, hope, love, abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. That was the Bible verse for today, and basically it's leading me on to today's topic that speaks about what you think is love may actually be something else. As an adolescent, as a young woman becoming a grown woman, you might find yourself thinking that you have the world is your oyster, and you can explore everything and anything, and you're smart. You're smarter than the generation before you. You're probably smarter than the generation ahead, but there's nothing new under the sun. You're not the first one to have felt like this. You're not the first one to have thought that they have the world to play with, or they have the world is their playground. You're not the first one to think this. So I think it is time for us to tackle the elephant in the room. Why did your parents tell you that you should not date? Why did your parents advise you that or they rather actually did not advise you? They probably told you better not, and you were like, but why? I'm smarter. Like, my teacher told me that I'm so intelligent. Have you seen my grades? There's no way I can be manipulated. There's no way. I'm so smart. I can use a smartphone. I can use AI to my advantage. But hold on. Are you sure about that? So today's premise or today's example is going to be a movie called The Man in the Moon. Before we get into that movie, I want to ask a question that I think we all might have the same answer to. Have you ever watched a movie of a playboy finally falling in love with this one girl? She's the girl next door. She's not like the other girls. She plays sports. She thinks more. She doesn't just hang out in every crowd. Well, what if I tell you that that was a social conditioning and it was specifically made for an adolescent stage? It makes you wonder and makes you think and makes a lot of women trample over each other trying to see who is going to be that one girl that changes a guy. Well, it's all a lie and a manipulation. It has caused a lot of women to think that they can change a man, basically becoming his mother from Temu. It has made a lot of women insecure because they wonder what it is about that one girl. Ladies, young women, you cannot change anyone. You cannot change them. People decide to change on their own. So back to the movie. I need to speak of the cast names if I can remember their names. I think one was the main character is Danny. She's a little girl. I think she's 14. She's 14 and there's this boy that comes over to their town, comes back to their town, and it turns out that his mother is her mom's friend, and her older sister is seen as this most beautiful girl in the town. Everyone is so mesmerized by her, and Danny looks up to her, and Danny wishes and wonders, how does she do it? How can she be so beautiful one day? Putting that aside, Danny finds this boy, Court. She's like, okay, this guy likes me. He sees me. He's never met her sister, by the way. He's never met her sister. He's just met her, and they hang out as friends. But she gains feelings for him, and he somewhat also has feelings for her. But remember that he's 17. I didn't speak of this first. He's 17, and they keep hanging out together, and she falls in love, or so she thinks. And one day he meets her sister, and he too becomes mesmerized by her. Her sister knew that she liked this boy Court. She had, of course, granted that the sister had never met the boy, but her sister Danny told her about him. And so Court falls head over heels for her sister, and he utterly ignores Danny and even calls her a kid. He never called her a kid this whole time. And that makes Danny feel so unseen, so worthless, and so unbeautiful. If that's a word. So unbeautiful. Long story short, he dies, and both sisters are heartbroken. One thing that is important in this movie to take away is that the difference in ages, and also the betrayal. Obviously, I think the underlying thing there is betrayal. But in today's topic, the difference in ages. Danny was 14, and so in her head, the first boy that she sees, oh wow, he's so cool, not the first boy that she thinks is handsome and cool. She thinks that she's falling in love. Although she speaks to her dad and he says, no, you cannot date now, you're so young. And I'm glad that he did tell her that. But at the end of the day, she got hurt. She got hurt because she thought him being nice to her or kind to her was him showing feelings for her. She did not fully understand. As much as you can think that you're grown enough or you're smart enough to decipher a situation, you aren't. especially at a young and ripe age of 14. You cannot understand when someone is toying with your feelings, when someone is manipulating you. He did show her, he did flirt around with her like he liked her. So she did think that he liked her, but only to flip around when someone more beautiful came around. That is one of the reasons why it is better for you to stay away. This could have been avoided if Danny had just decided to strictly be friends with Court and not pursue anything, and just watch his character and watch him from a distance and learn him and understand herself and see that she is beautiful. If you do not know at the ripe age of 14, as much as you can say, oh no, I'm beautiful, and say that out loud, you truly still do not believe it. You truly still do not understand it. You have to truly come to an understanding and the knowledge of you're fearfully and wonderfully made, you're already beautiful, so that nobody else can come and manipulate your mind and try and tell you that you're beautiful, yeah, but not as beautiful as this girl. That girl is beautiful in her own way. You are not that girl. You are a different girl. We are all individuals. And as an individual, there's something particular to you. A lot of the times people say that, well, you're not a special snowflake. I understand that. This is in circumstances of not thinking that what has happened to you has never happened to another person. But in the instance of your personality, your features, and your phenotype, basically your physical, you are beautifully. You are beautiful. And that should be celebrated. Remember when I said that Danny yes, I said also she thought that she was in love with Court. That sounds like a rhyme. But why did I say that? It's because love is unlike popular rom-coms. Love is not just at first sight. Love is not what you see. At first sight, what you see is beauty. At first sight, what you see is something that is attractive. Does not mean it's love. Love, as we read before in 1 Corinthians, is kind. Love endures, and love is patient. Love does not boast and does not have vainglory. Whenever you look and seek for what is the true understanding of love, how does this person love me, first look to our Father who created you and loves you, how he wants you to understand how much he loves you and does not want anything wrong for you. Love all goes back to our Elohim, our God, our Father in heaven. It all goes back to him, how he intended its structure. You do not know what love is if you do not know Elohim, because he is the literal definition of love. We can't even give a self-worthy reason for him to love us the way he does, but he still loves us. That is a love that is unconditional. No one can love you unconditionally just because you're beautiful. How many beautiful women have you seen plastered all around social media that have been cheated on, that have been manipulated? It's not about your beauty. And it's a lot of the times not about your smarts, because you can be outsmarted and swindled and played. It has a lot to do with understanding the love that comes from our Father. An untrained soldier cannot go into war and be successful, but a trained soldier thrives and comes back joyful. And I don't want someone to think I'm saying date on and become experienced. Nope, I'm not saying become experienced, then you are a perfect soldier. No, because soldiers do not train in war for war. They don't go to war and train only then and then go to another. That's not how it works. They train their minds and learn all they need to know. Then, when the time calls, they go for duty. So, it's not your parents setting you up for failure in high school if they tell you to not indulge in some things. We stay away from things that we don't like, right? And you would advise someone to stay away from a fire because you know it's going to burn them as much as it can warm up a room. That's why we build a fireplace to keep the fire from harming us, to keep the fire from burning down houses, we have to keep the fire controlled. And that control is in marriage, having to do with love. That love, you will find it as our Father's will, because of course not everyone's final destination will be marriage. Some people are blessed to be single. So if you are blessed to be married, that is when you will truly and utterly understand what our Father meant for that type of love. For now, show the love to the people around you. Don't rush things. Plucking up a fruit from a tree before it is ripe is a very, very terrible situation. Take your time. Don't rush. You haven't learned to understand yourself, but you know everything about this boy or about this. You haven't learned to understand yourself, but you know everything about this boy. You can't even write an essay about yourself, but you can write an essay about this boy. Come on now. You know better. And I don't know if a boy would be listening to this, but if you are, you can do better too. So I hope you've come to an understanding as to why it is at your adolescent stage, this is a stage in life in which you are your most vulnerable, you are your most easily, this is both for males and this is both for girls and boys. At this stage in your life, you are your most impressionable. You can be easily manipulated, tricked, and played and toyed with, and this can set you up for failure. So choose now the path that you will take. Will you take a path that many have taken and many have fallen? Some have become obsessed with people. Or will you take a path where you learn to understand the love that Elohim has for you, the love that He wants to show you and for you to understand, so that later on in your life you will find your Boaz just as Ruth did, or you will find your Rebecca just as or you will find your Isaac just as Rebecca did, and finally you will find your Jacob just as Rachel did. So it's all a matter of time. Everything has its season, everything has its time. You can't pluck a fruit from the tree before it is ripe. You choosing to do something before the time is right is you eating a raw fruit. I have been Lupasha, and thank you for joining me on the Feminine Periodical today. Okay. Action.